Hello and welcome to Soulivity.com. This is Brian Wesley Johnson, and today I had the chance to speak with multi-talented writer and producer Dwayne Johnson-Cochran. Now, the Chicago-born writer and producer wrote and executive produced the Paramount Plus and Showtime film Heist '88 that stars multi-award-winning actor Courtney B. Vance and is produced by Vance and his wife, multi-award-winning actress Angela Bassett. Now, with over 1.3 million views across platforms, Heist '88 is the highest ranking Showtime original film of 2023. So enjoy this fantastic interview with Dwayne Johnson-Cochran. Dwayne Johnson-Cochran, listen, thank you for being here on Soulivity.com, man.
Nice to be here, Brian. I'm honored.
No, we're the ones who are honored for you being here. What a great success. Over 1.3 million views, brother. I mean, yeah. Heist '88 is like the highest ranking Showtime original this year. I mean, how does that feel?
It feels great. I think we're up to maybe 2 million.
Woo!
And
Woo!
I'm very excited about the fact that they did a fair amount of publicity for it, and we had a great trailer, and just the idea that the film resonated to people. I think it's a story that is kind of evergreen,
Yeah. Yes.
And people always know when they watch a film about people trying to make their lives better, they can go to a heist movie. And ours is a unique heist movie, but it's still about the same thing. If you watch, Tie-In Job, Ocean's 11, anything.
Oh man. Man. Harlem Nights.
Harlem Nights. Exactly. You're going to see people trying to find a way to get money into their pocket that's in someone else's pocket.
Absolutely.
And in the process, when you're watching it, you're going to empathize and make these heroes, these characters. So that's
absolutely
my job.
Now, first and foremost, I mean, this is loosely based on a true story. It is fiction, right? There's a little bit of this history that's there. What drew you to writing this screenplay? Because you actually wrote the entire screenplay for this.
Yeah, I wrote the
screenplay. What drew you to it?
I live in Chicago, and I worked in the news media there for a local PBS station, and we had a nightly news show, came on at 7:00, and we had to go out and get news every day, and they cut it by 4:00 in the afternoon. You cut all your news by 7:00, it runs live, and then there's discussion. And it was a great show. I was just one of the field producers. I was young. And this was an event in Chicago in 1988. And
wow.
There was a heist at the First National Bank of Chicago, and they were arraigning these guys. And we had the microwave truck there, and, live from the Dirksen Federal Building, whatever it was,
Right.
Stand up with the reporter there. Okay, back to the studio, boom, so done. You go to the next day, you just forget about it, and and it was just one of those stories that I'd forgotten about. And then cut to many years later, I have a really great friend in Chicago who's a producer, and she called me. Her name is Beverly Price, and she said, Dwayne, do you remember this thing? Do you remember how this went down? I said, not really. And she sent me one article. And then I read another article. Then I did a deep dive and read more and more and more. And then I read the sentencing papers of these guys. And their lead guy, Armand Moore. And I thought, this is a news story that could become a really interesting series or movie because of the underlining idea that a man in 1988, a Black man in Chicago, decided to, on the way to prison,
right,
he's going to rob one of the biggest banks in America, using the individuals who work at the bank in low-level positions, train them, get them pumped up to do it, and do it, and get away with it. Okay, I
Right.
mean,
Right.
okay,
He was already doing his retirement planning.
yeah, right. He's gonna go.
I see.
I said, this is a ready-made story for me. So I, recreated a lot of different situations in the story, and it's not his biopic. It's not the biopic of the story. It's a reimagining idea of how this could have gone down with characters that I really care about and I want audiences care about. So,
Oh man. Now speaking of characters, right? I mean, Courtney B. Vance. I mean, the man. I mean,
yeah.
every time I saw him on screen with that fedora, I was like, okay, all right, I got to go out and buy me a couple of lids now, man.
Yes, yes. He wears them well.
As you were writing the screenplay, were you already thinking about who you would like to play these roles, or did that come later?
Well, Courtney and I have known each other for a very long time, and we were working together as producing partners on other projects. And this came in. I told him about it. We went out and pitched it all over town, and we, sold it. We sold it once, twice, three times, and
Wow.
different places. Developed it as a TV series. Didn't go. Then developed it again. Didn't go. And then we went to Paramount, and it went there as a movie. And Courtney and I sort of were arm in arm putting this project together. And we had the backing of the studio. And I knew he was going to play the lead. I know his cadences of his voice, how he likes to be in scenes. So we would chisel the, you write a movie and you write big, you write bigger and you write longer speeches and that kind of thing. And, him and I sat down and said, listen, I want you to say this. He says, can I say this? And he just trim it down. And we got right to what we need, where we need it to be. So that's how it worked out.
Wow. I mean, I can't see another actor playing this, right? I mean, could a Denzel do it? Of course. Could some other, but there's something about Courtney in this role where there is both the slick, kind of confident person, but also someone who there's some caring and some other things that are up underneath all that. I can't give away the film because I want people to go out and see it if they haven't seen it yet. But I think it was great, man. It was great. Now one thing that because on Soulivity.com we talk about our life's journeys and perfecting our craft and this kind of thing. One important aspect, you just talked about this, right? Where you had this idea, you wrote the screenplay and this kind of thing, and it went through some iterations before it got to the point at which it was, okay, somebody says, yes, I would like to do this as a film. Did you consciously say, well, this didn't, so let's do this? Or was it like, okay, here are the three ways we're going to pitch this, right? Because I think sometimes people have to understand that our life's journey isn't a straight line.
Sure.
And that there are some bobs and some weaves and some hills and valleys and that kind of thing. Talk a little bit about that part of how this production came about to be.
It's a good question because when you have a concept in your head, every writer, every producer has a concept. I want to make a film about this, or this. Someone gave me a log line, and that could be a movie, or that could be a TV series. You have to, in a lot of ways, think about it like a convertible, a car. Can the car be a hard top, or can it be a convertible? Can this be a hard top where it's going to be a movie? There's no way it's going to be a series. There's no way it's going to be a limited series. It's a hard top. It's a movie. Or is it a convertible? Or a convertible like a limited series. Or my idea was, okay, Courtney, let's pitch this as a limited series, 6 episodes.
Gotcha.
At the end, they're going to take the money. Maybe the 5th episode, they get it. In the 6th episode, they figure out something and things kind of turns upside down. But the first 4 is a setup. Every character, we going to go deep into it. That was the idea.
Gotcha.
So we picked it, sold it. and we sold it twice, that same concept. But then we realized that either limited series were not really in vogue anymore. They are, but they're not really. It's kind of like waning out. Or we knew that this particular place at Paramount, they needed movies. They needed television movies. They needed stuff, in the pipeline. So it was the right time, right place. And I had to then compress this 6-episode idea down to a movie to 90 minutes. And so that's when the writing starts. That's when you really to write and rewrite and characters and actions and behaviors become character. So behavior, like Courtney, for example, in the series, there was a whole scene of him going buying suits, trying things on with the young men, whole situation. Yeah. Well, in this show, he comes into his hotel room. You see his suits, you see his stuff, you see how perspicuous and how very detailed he is about where he puts things. That's his personality. That's his behavior.
Right.
And so his behavior is his actions, and his actions is his character, all done directorially, done. So that's something, write that down in your body copy, and now you have the character. You don't have to say too much. He wears his hat a certain way. He walks a certain way. He listens as opposed to speaks. There's a certain things that he's doing that makes this a movie in 90 minutes, get it going, as opposed to stretching it out for a series.
Right. And listen, again, it was beautiful. It's beautifully done. In fact, I was just talking to you offline about this, that, I saw it for the first time a few weeks ago, even before we set this interview up. And I was just, that goes on the list to rewatch, in about, a couple of weeks. Yeah. Wife, you got to come over here and see this.
Thank you.
Speaking of wives and collaborations and this kind of thing, man. So Courtney B. Vance is both acting and executive producing. His wife Angela is a multi-award-winning, brilliant actress, is just like he is also executive producing. It's written and directed and produced by yourself. As a man who's a creative, right? African-American brother, what's it like for you to have this kind of team creating this kind of film with other brilliant young actors? I mean, playing, characters, across the spectrum. What's that like for you?
Well, it's great. These are friends of mine, Angela and Courtney. I've known them more than 20 years. And we're always talking about what could we do? What film, what can Angela star in that we can create together? Or what could Courtney star in? Or what could I direct or produce? This one I wrote and produced. And it was a lot of work because it took a long time to get this one to the screen. There are other projects that we are talking about doing. I think the collaboration and the synergy is about paying attention, because you have to pay attention to what their energy is too. Angela has many options to do many things, and Courtney does too. So how do you get them to look at something you're doing?
Right.
And at the same time, I want to help them do anything they want to do. As friends, you have to sort of figure it out. And the most important thing, there's the idea of taste. If your taste is different than their taste, if your idea of this being a good movie and their idea is, no, that's not a good movie, that's a good movie, you're over here, then you're not going to really have the synergy. But I think we understand what we kind of like, which came down to how we cast the film, these 4 young people. Every one of these 4 people were handpicked, and Aisha Coley, our casting director, brought us some amazing people.
Right.
Aisha, she works with Ava, and she works with all these other, Spike and all these other great directors. And I asked Aisha, give me people I've never seen before. And that's how we got these four. And boy, they really brought it to a great level because Courtney has a style and a reputation and a technique,
Yes.
and they play right into it. It was really
Right.
good. Every scene, it was great.
As I'm remembering the film, and the four young actors are, when they were on screen, there was no separation between the four of them. You could tell they knew that they felt good about each other. That you believe that they were all like friends, right?
Yeah, and they were. Yeah.
And so, this it's just great to see young people in this caliber being brought out and being brought forth. They've got amazing careers in the future. I can already tell. Want to go back to what I would call your tribe, right? Where you, Courtney, and Angela have known each other for 20 years, and just want to kind of pull the thread on this just a little bit so that people can understand that the synergy and the support system that the three of you have created for each other also is grounded in respect for each person's individuality.
Absolutely.
What they bring to the table in terms of their perspective, right? So it isn't all about Dwayne, it isn't all about Courtney, and it's not all about Angela. It's about the three of you creating together in a mutually respectful and supportive way. Just beautiful, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it should be, right?
That's where it should be. And I think we can do another one and a third one and a fourth one. It'd be great. I think they have a lot of things coming to them from all different places. And but I'm just honored that I was able to work with them on this one, And I did a documentary years ago, and they liked it, and they put their name on it as presented by a film called Be Known, and about a jazz musician that I did a doc on, and it did really well. And it's just support. They understood what I was trying to do. It's great.
Absolutely, and it's absolutely necessary, man.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we talked a little bit offline about the history of like Black film, right? Going back to Gordon Parks and beautiful films that starred people like, Sidney Poitier and Dorothy Dandridge, all the way to Cosby, and from Which Way Is Up, and all these kind of films. I love the fact that this film has at its forefront people who look like me, but also include people who don't look like me, and this wonderful kind of synergistic kind of interplay, right? What's it like for you, again, as a creative? What's important? I should say, what's important to you about these films that have people that look like us on the forefront?
What I feel about just making films where the characters live in a world in which they just exist. They are not proclaiming or putting a flag out every day that I am this person. I am fighting for these things. I am, adamant about, it's really about everyday people who get on the train and go to school, go to work. There's a story in everybody. And in this particular situation, they're Black people. And if I wrote about the Polish guy across the street or the Latin woman who works at the shop, they are equal mine. They're equal in my mind because their personality and their character is bloomed somehow, and I now find them in my story. So this could very well have been an Asian story about a heist,
Right.
But it happened to be Black people. I thought it was so rich that it was Black people in '88 in Chicago, so rich that it was on the South Side and the West Side of Chicago. And the richness of Black folks and people of color, but Black folks in particular, bring to our society can never be underestimated. There's a richness There's a joie de vivre. There's this incredible need for, I think, other people to see how absolutely human we are in every aspect of our existence. And I think that small movies like this tell big stories because it is about just being, and that's what I write about, and that's what I try to bring in to my work.
Again, well, the story comes by very, very well. We're both Midwesterners. I'm originally from Detroit.
Oh, good.
You write down 94. I know a lot of
Yes.
you guys don't know about that, but
My grandfather's from Detroit.
oh, well, see, there you go. Dwayne, this movie, again, we said this movie has been an incredible success. What is next on the horizon that we can kind of look out for in terms of projects for you?
Well, I'm consulting and still working with the Bassett Vance Company. We're working on a Marian Anderson biopic. We're working on a Thelonious Monk adult animated feature.
Wow. Okay. I'm writing that one down.
Adult animated feature about Thelonious Monk. It's going to be phenomenal. Working on a documentary series that I'm co-directing about towns in America that are in trouble. Small towns, they're in trouble. And it's this doc series. I am also writing a pilot now, which has an international spy tinge to it that I'm very excited about. Really excited. It's about theoretical physics, which is something I'm really into.
Wow. Man, listen. These are the types of interviews that I love. Because they show people what's possible in their lives in terms of when they dedicate themselves to their passion. You are providing, like I tell people, when you use your passion to serve, that becomes your purpose. And having these different stories that you're telling, and that you're bringing these stories to people from around the nation and around the world, to small and large screen, we all become closer, right? The divides between us just kind of disappear.
I agree.
And so thank you for being here on Soulivity.com. Thank you for the marvelous creative work that you're doing and that you're going to be continuing to do. We'll be on the lookout for sure. Would you come back and join us, when some other projects kind of pop up?
Absolutely. Just ring me up. Dwayne, you come back and talk about, just saw that thing again. What's up? Yeah.
Oh,
definitely.
man.
I will definitely be here.
All right. Thank you again. Well, thank you for being here on Soulivity.com, and we will see you next time. You can read all of our featured stories at Soulivity.com now.